I've been on that founder to business growth journey. You're always learning. Every year you're learning something new, whatever lesson you hadn't yet learned.
So, Erica, ready for the rapid fire?
Ready for the rapid fire.
All right. So, what are some of the daily habits you do to drive the Maven Collective Marketing Group ahead?
I have a very talented, responsible team, so I'm able to check some of the systems and tools we use so I don't bother them with the very tedious questions. We were just talking about a little bit earlier, Paul, that you're platforming to a new platform. I'm still on ClickUp. That is a central tool for us. It's one of the 40 essential tools that we're using in a day.
Yes.
And so that's definitely something that I'm following up with at night and checking in the morning. I do a lot of work night, morning, just based on being a working mom. And sometimes my schedule is a little scattered. This is going to sound like a weird daily scale habit, but I do a lot of send at 8 a.m. My team sometimes knows how often I've been on late or in the morning because like bing, 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 like everything happens in Teams and Outlook and ClickUp and all of these things at 8 a.m. just so I'm not bothering them outside of their working hours, but I've gotten the thing out of my head so I can sleep at night. And that's a super, just for me, managing the team all in different places. We're across North America. Lots of us are in Vancouver, but we have some in the States and different time zones and things like that. Like that helps me get what I need to know out of my head without bothering anyone during their off hours.
Great. And where do you go to find out more about, in particular, around us? Let's sit on the angle of marketing for your clients. Where are you getting your research from?
We actually spend a lot of time on this, and it's in a variety of areas. So obviously with the marketing side, because we are often the expert of what Microsoft is rolling out for partners, because we're so deep in the ecosystem, we work with so many partners, and most of the time there's no one internally on a partner side that's, sometimes we work with people that have like a strategic alliance director. That's a pretty big company that can afford that salary, right?
Yes.
So some of the smaller ones are looking to us when there's, a new rollout that's an opportunity for them to give them advice on how to use co-op funds, et cetera. So, we have a team that's staying up to date just on what's happening with Microsoft partners and their ecosystems. We have other teams that are constantly staying up with, we're a Google partner, so we have to know everything that's happening with Google advertising. We're a Microsoft preferred ads agency, so we have to stay up to date on everything with that. We're a HubSpot partner, so we're up to date on that, Active Campaign. So yeah, the list could go on. We're Dripify affiliates, all of these different platforms. And the great thing now about just the tools that we use is that they invest so much in education. So often when you're just getting up to speed on recertification in some of these areas, you're also learning more about specific opportunities with AI, specific opportunities with extensions that take you into a different realm. And so we actually individually assign on our team knowledge holders that are responsible for those different avenues. And then internally, we do lunch and learns. We try to do them as often as possible. And so that's every kind of month-ish. And those off weeks, we do just discussions on what new is happening in different markets. So last week, we were talking about specific AI tools that we had used kind of both inside and outside of work and what people were using them for and how we could use them for our clients. And so those are kind of like end of Friday discussions opportunities, bring your own beverage and have a discussion around what everybody's doing. And often you learn a lot about your colleagues too, because they're doing cool things on nights and weekends that you had no idea they were doing.
Yeah, brilliant. And if I could grant you one wish for Maven Collective Marketing, what would that be?
Well, if every Microsoft partner could know about Maven Collective Marketing in the world, and then I would just be able to just bat the math as we got to select who we were. No, just kidding. One wish, I think where we struggle as an organization is really around being able to both deliver outstanding quality work while still focused on bringing in, and this is going to be so common to every business owner, while still focused on bringing in quality prospects. Every service company goes through this. And if you have cracked this nut, please email me or go on our website and let me know. But we'll get these amazing clients that we have for so long, and maybe their budget shifts, or maybe they do hire someone internally and they have an opportunity to to build an internal team, which some people do, and great for them if they've kind of gotten to that area of their business and that's what they want to do. And in the meantime, when we've been delivering all of this great work and helping them grow, like this part of prospecting and growing new business is not being worked on because we're so working on delivering excellent service. Honestly, that like balance of how we keep things consistent as a service company on both sides of the business would be the wish that I would just love to know how to. It's just a huge gap between.
It is. And without going down a rabbit hole, I think fundamentally that's why our margins are what they are. So if you look at a SaaS margin, it's obviously a lot higher, but it's more of a capital investment to get one. But they're high because they don't have that. Whereas I think that's built into our, our profit pool and that balancing the two. But I think if you're listening to Erica and you're saying, well, actually my problem is I really have a great team, but then I just don't have enough work. I think that's where you got to start to pull the marketing lever. I think that one is more obvious. Balancing the two.
We pull in for marketing. It's just the sales, my sales problem.
Yeah, well, and the last one is, you've been in the Microsoft ecosystem from an employee and now supporting partners for a long, long time. What do you know now that you wish you had known earlier?
I'm not sure that I'm going to frame this from a Microsoft perspective because I think it's more, we talked about how a lot of your listeners are kind of on that founder to business growth journey. I've been on that founder to business growth journey. You're always learning. Every year you're learning something new, whatever lesson you hadn't yet learned. And one of the things I reflect on is that I was, a bootstrapped, helped an organization that I was a marketing director in exit and build my organization out of that exit. And then kind of bootstrap my way into consultant to, a little bit bigger, and now a much larger organization than I thought we were going to start as. And I didn't take out any finance for this business. Like it was a very, maybe it was an intentional slow growth because I also had personal things in my life, like kids and other things that maybe I wouldn't be able to scale as fast. And I do wish I would have looked into some investment sooner in my business journey and hired employees sooner than I did and had a lot more resources available to me sooner than I did. And I did venture out and found a SaaS company, as you and I had discussed, and that was a different experience. And that was, bootstrapping again, but then also looking into early investors and things like that. So I think that opened my eyes to something I didn't really consider as a possibility, but I should have. And so if you're in that early stage where you're feeling strapped both on like resources and time and also delivery, whether that's SaaS or whether that's service, I really think that it's a great opportunity to be able to grow at a scale that it's very hard to do bootstrapping.
Yeah, totally agree. And I think, sadly, a lot of people have money sitting in the bank, but they actually are using that. And let's face it, interest rates are so low. So if you trust yourself that you've got brilliant delivery skills, you've got brilliant technical skills, and you got some money sitting in there in the bank, or you've got access to get money, then if you trust yourself, then go and invest in marketing. I think that's the perfect time to do it. And it's really just spending something that you're going to get multiples of in the future. And that's, the way you look at it. And people used to say to me at Coca-Cola, why do you guys continue to market? Everyone knows Coca-Cola.
That's interesting. Yeah, good question.
Yeah, but we're share of stomach. Or we used to call it share of mouth or share of stomach, right? We're always competing against what consumers' wallets or credit cards are spending on, right? So it's not that we're competing against other beverages. We're competing against all of the food and beverages that goes into to a human. So that's why we had to constantly invest and stay ahead of the curve. And also, we had to continue to grow. People used to say Coke sells itself. I'm like, yeah, but it doesn't sell itself 10% more every year.
Right.
You got to market and do it. And you look at Microsoft, Salesforce, whatever the examples.
Those are well known.
Correct. If they could, they'd stop marketing, right? Like, let's face it. If they could just stop it and put it all into their bottom line, they'd do it. But there's a reason they don't, because they need it.